How's it going? Ryan here. And today I'm going to go over the one trade that I took on SPY. Happened to take puts in the morning, ended up making about 20% on that. So overall, decent green day for me. It was a very tricky morning to trade though, and I'll get into that in a second. First though, we have the daily time frame here, so we're looking at SPY. Some of the levels that we were watching, nothing too different or extreme. We have the top of this gap fill around 438.3 or so. We have the top of this range that we were trading or rejecting off of around 437.3 or 4, or hard to tell on the daily time frame, but about 437.3. We have the bottom of that range around 433.4. We have the bottom of the swing here from the weekly time frame, that's around 432 or 433. We have this level down here around 430, right where the day kind of ended up. We have some pre-market levels as well as an hourly trend line that we'll get into for a second. This trend line and this trend line are just super high time frame from weekly or daily trend lines, resistance and support respectively. Looking at the overall kind of day, what we did, I guess I'm not going to clear it just yet because we're going to get into those. But we were kind of in this tight range, broke down. This 430 level is pretty much this day's low, and we're sitting closed right above that. So I believe a close below this low, or breaking below this 430 level, we're going to see probably a retest of this higher time frame trend line. So that's something to watch, is the break below that 430 level. But going into today, how I traded it, I will look at the hourly here. So one of the things I was looking at was this pre-market level around 435.5, and then the pre-market low. But we had this trend line on the hourly 4-hour, some of the higher time frames, going from a few days back to yesterday's lows to the pre-market, which we broke below. You can see on the hourly time frame, kind of once we broke below that, we wicked above it, closed below on the hourly time frame, and from there it was just kind of a sell-off. So the break of that support did seem to matter today, as we did have a overall downward day as we sold off pretty consistently. So the trade that I took was in the morning. We held that trend line initially, but then broke below it. We tested that pre-market low, and then started bouncing in between these two levels, between this trend line and this pre-market low. And that's where I entered puts, is on the retest this trend line. I thought that breaking below, I thought we would get maybe, not necessarily this type of move, but yeah, a move similar to this where we'd come down after breaking that hour time frame support. So I got in puts at the retest this trend line on one of these candles here. I was watching the 2 and the 5 minute. My fill was right around $1, so it was $100 per contract. I took one contract. I sold on this candle here as we rejected, came down and hit this level that I had for a 20% return. One of the reasons why I sold when I did, and this looks better on the 5 minute than perhaps it did on the 2 minute, but we'll dive into that as well. If you can just see, we were holding this pre-market low pretty well. But we were also rejecting and closing below this trend line on the 5 minute, which gave me some confidence to hold through some of this. But we were really wicking back and forth, and you can see especially here that long wick where we pretty much tested the high of the day before closing back below that trend line, here forming a hammer candle kind of at that pre-market low before ripping, testing 435, rejecting. We were just getting some wonky price action. I'm going to take a look at the 2 minute as well so we can look at this together. This in here just kind of concerned me. This is pretty erratic. You have us coming down, super long wicks, very small candle bodies, a rip to the upside, sell off to the downside, more wicks, long candle bodies, rip to the upside, sell to the downside, long tail wicks, big sell off. That is why on this candle I took profit. I was up 20%. We were closing and bouncing right around that level that I had at 433.4, and holding through this was a bit more choppy and irregular. I think the 5-minute looks better than this. This looks insane, but the 5-minute, you can see that we are still closing below that trend line. So the 5-minute kind of kept me sane. The 2-minute was kind of freaking me out. I was having a hard time understanding some of that price action. It was really choppy in the morning, and maybe not the best time to be trading anyways. I just thought we'd get a bit of a more consistent or, substantial move after that break of support. I thought we might, begin a sell-off, test yesterday's low days perhaps. But once we just started wicking back and forth, going up and down, once we did get that break and that move downwards, that's when I took profit. So that was my trade on the day. I will admit that if we're looking at this 2-minute, we actually pretty much hit my stop loss, but my sell order didn't get filled. So I was stopping out if we got up above this level right in here, kind of right where we opened at and had rejected off of twice, right at that 434.2-ish. When we were wicking up here, I actually placed it in order to sell because we had held that pre-market low and then ripped up pretty aggressively on, look at this volume too, the highest volume candle that we had all day. So as we were pushing up, that hit where I was looking to stop out. So I placed a sell order here. Luckily for me, it didn't get filled because we immediately came back down. And these contracts actually moved in my favor quite a bit to the point where I was not close from break even at this point, which gave me the confidence to hold a little bit, as I was, like I said, also watching the 5-minute where we were still holding below this trend line on the 5-minute. So should have hit my stop. That was it right there. When it pushed up above that 434.2. Barely got above it. I'm glad it didn't stop me out because it ended up going in my favor. But I want to be transparent about that. This probably should have been a loss had that sell order gotten filled. Luckily, we pushed up. It didn't fill when I tried to. Then it came back down. I canceled the order because I saw the option move in my favor pretty heavily on this subsequent candle. And so I decided to stick it out and just see. Also because I had watched this candle get reversed on immediately, as well as this run up get reversed on. So I had a feeling that, if we could maintain below this trend line on 5-minute, that, we would get that push down. But I did get a little psyched out on this candle, I will admit. That high volume, that push up, that one tested me. And luckily I didn't get stopped out for a loss because I was able to hold on for a few minutes and take a 20% profit. As you can see, the rest of the day, there was options. There's a lot of options for scalping, especially now that I have done my review. I will clear my chart and we can just look at this fresh. You can see, wow, what's going on? That's a pretty beautiful zone, where we held on that swing low before making that high of day. We came down, broke, retest, broke, retest, sell off, retest, sell off, retest, sell off, retest, sell off, retest, almost sell off. So that's a really nice little zone that formed intraday. Just watching, just daily price action, kind of what we did. We were consistently making lower lows throughout the day. We set this higher high right here at that didn't mean to do that, at that 435, and never quite came close to that again. So overall, downtrending day. This in the morning was super tricky. If you got caught in that, I know I almost did. I know others had to have. That was pretty tricky. I think really the move of the day came either if you had the rejection off 435 or the break of this support here, because then things were a little bit better in terms of getting a setup where we rejected off this area. So there were some trades to be taken. Should I have traded off that open? I think when I entered, it was prior to seeing some of this price action. So I'll give myself a little benefit of the doubt there, that I was going off a break and a retest to that off that support trend line. Not too upset about that. A little bit sloppy in the execution just because I tried to stop out and didn't get stopped out and ended up having a win. I almost feel guilty for it. But, I'll take the win regardless. I'm happy that I had a winning trade rather than a losing one, but it doesn't necessarily feel clean to me, if that makes sense. It feels a little sloppy. So looking to kind of maybe shore that up. Another thing was this rejection off 435. I didn't have that level plotted at all, but when we got that rejection intraday, I was just looking back at the chart to see what that 435 area was. Where was it? There it is, right there. You can see it was the low right here, this swing low, that's 435. Other than that, it didn't stick out to me too much. I mean, it stands out a bit more now that we have that high a day there. But really the only thing I could trace back, at least on the hourly time frame, I didn't look back on like the daily necessarily. Like I said, this is during the trading period that I realized that we had this low here that corresponded with the high a day. Didn't have that level marked. That would have been absolutely beautiful if you caught the top of that, especially because we did get a nice like little reversal candle on the 5 minute. So we rallied up, got that nice reversal candle at that level and sold off. That would have been a huge move. That would have been beautiful, absolutely excellent. If you caught that, congratulations. That's the type of move that I would aspire to catch. That's kind of what I was hoping for when we broke that support and got that retest, is we'd get something like that, you know, more of a major sell-off, a move, some momentum to the downside. So that's all I have. That's what I was watching today. That's how I traded. No other trades on the day, but just figured those are some interesting things to go over. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you very much. I do trade live every Monday through Friday, so if you feel so inclined, stop by, say what's up. We have a free Discord as well. It's just a small group of traders. It's growing though, I will say. Traders that sometimes we hop in voice chats together, sometimes we share charts, trade ideas, etc. There's no call outs, none of that. We have varying experience levels. Some of us have years of experience. Some of us are just getting started in our journey. But nonetheless, everybody's welcome. It's a really friendly environment. We're really there just to grow together and learn from each other. So if that sounds interesting to you, just leave a comment, ask about it, and I'll send you that link your way so you can join up. That's all I have for you though. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.